Linux machine in the AWS cloud and login. So now let's talk about how you can create a Linux machine in the AWS cloud and login. Let's have a summary on how you can do that. So first of all, you should have an AWS account, which I hope everyone has. And once you created your AWS account, once you created your AWS account, you can come to this page, the EC2 page. Click on services on the top, then click on EC2. Once you clicked on EC2, then you would be taken to this particular page, AWS EC2 page, right? Come on. Or you can use this search box, search for EC2, then you click on EC2, then you would be taken to the EC2 page, right? Inside the EC2 page, now we can launch a new machine. Click on instances on the left side, and this is where you would see the list of machines what you currently have. And in my particular case, I do not have any machine. It all depends on the region. Technically, I actually have a machine which is in Mumbai. So once I selected Mumbai, I would be able to see that machine. So yeah, so in your case, you might not have any machine. So you are going to launch a new machine. And in order to launch a new machine, after you came to the EC2 page, then after you went to these instances, after you click the instances on the left side, there's a button called launch instance on the top right side. Click on the launch instance on the top right side, and then you can see various options here. You can give some name, my test server. It's up to you. You can give any name, give some name. And then if you scroll down, it will ask you to select your operating system. So I'm going to choose Ubuntu as the operating system. That is the operating system we will be using most of the time when we want to work on a cloud server. So I select Ubuntu as the operating system, and whatever the latest it is, it will Ubuntu 22.4 is what we are using. Let's not change that. And then use come down further, instance type is T2 micro. It should be T2 micro. That is the only machine which is free, so do not change that also. And then you can come to key pair, and over here you have the ability to create a new key pair. Either you can, if you already have a key pair, you can choose them from the drop down. And in your particular case, if you never created a key pair, if you never created a machine, you have to create a key pair. And that's what I'm going to do. I click this button, create a new key pair, and then it will ask me. So I mentioned my test server, right? You can give any name, it's up to you. It could be your name or whatever. So then you can just click this button, create key pair. As soon as you click this button, create key pair, you will notice that a file got downloaded to your laptop, and the name of the file will be whatever name that you provided, .pem. And this file got downloaded to your laptop. In your laptop, the downloads folder, most probably the downloads folder. Otherwise, if you change the download location, whatever location that you set, so in your laptop, this file will be now downloaded, and by default it will be in your laptop's downloads folder. You can go to the downloads folder and see it. And that's what I'm going to do in my laptop. I go to the downloads folder, and I should be able to see this file in my downloads folder. There you go. The file is there in my laptop at this location. That's great. And now the file is downloaded to your laptop, and you need that file later when you log into the machine, right? So keep that file in your laptop. And otherwise, you are good. You just click on the launch instance button to create the machine in the AWS cloud. Just click the button launch instance, and then you will notice that a new machine is being launched inside your AWS account. Now you can go back to the EC2 page, right? Whichever page you have seen the machine, go to the EC2 page. Under EC2, click on instances on the left side, and then you will be taken to the same page. Click on this refresh button. You can actually see the new machine, my test server. This is the new machine which got created in the AWS cloud. And by default, the machine in the AWS cloud will have a public IP. public IPv4 address. You check this field after selecting the machine by checking this checkbox. Over here, you can see the public IP, and you need this IP address if you want to log into the machine. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to log into this machine from my laptop. And in order to log into the machine from the laptop, first of all, you should have a command line software in your laptop. If you are using MacBook, you can use the default terminal. If you are using Windows, if you are using Windows 11 or Windows 10, you must enable the Windows subsystem for Linux. So go ahead and enable that, and then you can use your PowerShell. If you are using older versions of Windows than Windows older than Windows 10, make sure that you upgrade to either Windows 10 or Windows 11, or for as a temporary workaround, you can install some command line software in your laptop, something called git bash. You can install git bash in your laptop, and git bash, you can use git bash to as a command line software in your laptop instead of PowerShell. So that is possible. So I am assuming now you already have a command line software installed on your laptop, and now using that command line software, I'm going to log into the remote machine. So that's what I'll do. Uh, Linux machine in the AWS cloud. So that's what I'm going to do next. I'm going to log into the machine, which is currently in the AWS cloud. So I already have the IP address of the machine, and by default, the username is Ubuntu. I have that information, and then a key file I already downloaded to my laptop. It's in my laptop downloads folder. So these are the three information I need. First, I need the IP address of the machine. Then I need the username of the machine that is already available on the AWS documentation. By default, username is Ubuntu. For any Ubuntu server that you create in AWS, default username is Ubuntu. So that is the username, and this is like a password. The key is something like a password. If you share this key with somebody else, they will get access to the server. So never share your key with anyone. It's like a password, right? That's what I'm going to do next. I'm going to log into the Linux machine from my laptop. So in my case, I'm using a Mac. In your case, you would be using Windows PowerShell. If you have Windows subsystem for Linux enabled, if not, you can use Git Bash. Right? You need a command line software. Open whatever command line software your laptop has, and then first of all, you run this command cd downloads. CD space downloads. This command will take you to the downloads folder, because most probably that is the folder you downloaded the key, right? So whether you are using Windows or Linux, this command will work. This command will take you to the downloads folder. And remember, this is a command in your laptop, right? It has nothing to do with the remote Linux machine or AWS. This is a command that you run in your laptop. Can you mute? Can you mute? So now I am inside the downloads folder of my laptop, and I can actually find inside my laptop there's a ls command actually, or there's I know that I have this file, my server. What is that? My test server, right? My test server.pem. So this file is available in my laptop downloads folder, and you have to execute this one-time command chmod space 400 space this file name. You have to execute. This is a one-time command that you must run in your laptop. And after while executing this command, if you are getting an error, ignore that error. It's okay. If you are using Windows, if you are using git bash and you are getting this error, some error when running this command, just ignore it. It's okay. Otherwise, the command, in my case, the command has succeeded. Now it's time to log into the remote machine. So in my laptop, there's a command called ssh. In git bash, same ssh command is available. In PowerShell, same ssh command is available. So it doesn't matter what laptop do you use, right? Whether it is Windows or MacBook, ssh command is available. Provided that in Windows, you have enabled Windows subsystem for Linux, or you have git bash installed, right? So ssh space minus I followed by whatever key that I want to use. So key, as I already told you, it's something like a password, something like a password. So I have to specify the key name, whatever I want to use. Then I have to specify the username. By default, it's Ubuntu. And then at the rate, then I have to specify the public IP address of my AWS machine, which I can find over here. This is the public IP, which I will paste it here. So this is the command in your laptop. This is the command that you have to execute in your laptop. This is the command you have to execute in your laptop. SSH space minus I space the key space username at the rate IP address of the AWS machine. This command you have to execute. First time when you log in, it will ask you, are you sure you want to continue connect? Give yes, press enter, and that's it. You are successfully logged in. So this is how you log in, and make sure that this key is in your laptop. If you lose this key, you will lose access to the server, right? So you should keep this file secure in your laptop. Don't lose it, and don't share with anyone. Anyone who have this key file can log into this AWS machine what you have created if they got the IP address of the machine. So this key is something like a very confidential, very secure. Anyone who get access to this key get access to your server, and so only you should have access. And this is the command you will run in your laptop. You can either use PowerShell or you can use Git Bash. It's up to you. And PowerShell is recommended with Windows subsystem for Linux enabled. For that, you should be either using Windows 10 or Windows 11. And yeah, this command will, from your laptop, you can execute this command. Then you get logged into the remote Linux machine. Great. So that's how you log in to the machine that you just created. And then today we are going to create a AWS machine and practice some Linux commands. Create a Linux machine in AWS, and then we will practice some basic Linux commands. So I hope all of you have created your AWS account, and you also learned how to create the Linux machine. If you already created the Linux machine, great. If not, create one. And yeah, let me go ahead and create an account, Linux machine inside my AWS account, then practice some Linux basics. I think many of you are aware of Linux. Don't if you are already comfortable with Linux, it's great. For everyone else, it's not about Linux, but it's about getting yourself used to a command line. You would be using command lines a lot when you work as a DevOps engineer. Most of the time, you want to install a lot of client softwares from a command line and execute various commands. So every laptop should have a proper command line software installed in it, where you will be executing various commands. And if you are using Windows, I strongly suggest you that you upgrade your operating system. If it is not yet Windows 11, upgrade it to Windows 11 or at least Windows 10, and also enable the Windows subsystem for Linux. You can search in Google, or you can look at the Microsoft documentation on how to enable Windows subsystem for Linux. It should be enabled, which is basically nothing but a Linux kernel inside a Windows PC. So latest Windows come along with a Linux kernel. If you enable the Windows subsystem for Linux, so you don't need a separate Linux machine, or you don't need any separate command line software in your laptop. If you are using Windows 11, if you are using Windows 10, it's still okay. You can use a Windows subsystem for Linux, but it's not a real Linux. It is some Linux developed by Microsoft, which is not the actual Linux kernel. So the most recommended operating system of your laptop is Windows 11. Windows 10 is also fine, and any old operating system is not recommended. If you are using anything older than Windows 10, upgrade it. It's very, very important, and also enable the Windows subsystem for Linux. All right. And today I'm going to create a Linux machine in the cloud, not inside your laptop. So for first couple of days, the lab would be not your laptop. It would be the remote AWS machine, right? But don't worry. Later on, it would be completely your laptop that you would be using for setting up the lab, setting up the commands, right? The command line software will be in your laptop. And but nevertheless, you need some knowledge onto Linux, right? Whether I'm not talking just about the command line, you should have a basic knowledge about Linux that is important. And you don't need to be a Linux expert to start here, but some basic commands you should be comfortable, and that's good enough, right? Don't worry too much about Linux. You cannot wait until you finish Linux learning to start DevOps. It's a bad idea. So, but you should have a basic idea. You should uh, know some basic commands. And that's what we will talk about for first 1 hour. And then after that, we will, get into our actual topics, right? So that's a plan. I'm going to log into my AWS account, and inside the AWS cloud, I'm going to create a new Linux machine. And that's the plan for today. And let me log in. And when I log in, sorry. All right, so I am in, and once you are in, it's time to create a Linux machine. And you have, I hope you already have. So I'm going to create one for myself. I'm going to click the button. I already have a couple of machines. I don't think I need them anymore. I'm going to delete them, and I'm going to create a new machine. Click on launch instance on the top right side, and then actually the UI has changed, so the steps are slightly different. You have to select the operating system. I'm going to choose Ubuntu 22.4 as the operating system. That is the operating system which I am choosing. And then the instance type, everything you leave it default, HT2 micro, let it be. And the key pair, you have to create a new one. By clicking this button, you can create a new one. And or if you already have a key pair that you created, you can choose it from the drop down. Both options are available. So in my particular case, I'm going to create a new one. I'm going to call it, May 24 or something. I'm going to call it. Can you somebody send May 24 is the name of the key, and I just click on create key pair button. Then what happens is a key file get downloaded to your laptop, right? And that is the key I want to use to launch the machine. So that's what I did. And otherwise, everything good. The only thing that you need to take care is the key pair. Otherwise, you can leave everything as default. Yeah, and also the operating system. Use Ubuntu, right? Use Ubuntu as the operating system, and also change the key pair. Then you can go ahead and click on the launch button. This is how you can launch a machine inside your AWS account. So a machine is created there. Now it's time to log into the machine from your laptop. And inside your laptop, you should have a command line software installed, right? Either you should have Windows 11 or Windows 10 with the Windows subsystem enabled. In that case, you can simply use the PowerShell. You don't need any additional software. You can use PowerShell for everything. And just in case today, or for first couple of days, if any of you do not are using older versions of Windows, you can install git bash. Git bash is a command line that you can install on your laptop. And using git bash, you can ssh into the remote machine. You can go to this website and install git bash. Even if you're using Windows 11 or Windows 10, you can go ahead and install git bash. It's useful, right? Great. So you can download it from here, and then you can install it on your laptop. Git bash is the command line software. Great. And if you're using Windows 11, it's always recommended to use the PowerShell after enabling Windows subsystem for Linux. Even for Windows 10 also, that is recommended. For older versions, you can always use some third-party command lines. Git bash is an example. Okay, great. So once you Once you're done, once you finished creating the machine in the cloud, now it is time to log into that machine. So you go back to the machine in the AWS page. You go back to the AWS page, take a look at the machine. The machine is already in the running state, and this is the public IP address of the machine. And now I am going to log into the machine from my laptop. So in order to do that, like I said, you need a command line in your laptop. Use PowerShell, or use, if you're using MacBook, use the terminal application. There's a terminal application on your MacBook that you can use, or if you're using Windows, use PowerShell. Make sure that you have Windows subsystem for Linux enabled. If it is not enabled, enable it first and then start using the Windows PowerShell. And now it's time for me to log in to this machine which I have created in the AWS cloud from my laptop. So I'm using a Mac, and in my laptop I already have a command line software, the default terminal of Mac. I run the command cd downloads. First I run this command to go to the folder where I downloaded the key, right? That may24.pem. This is a file which I have downloaded to my laptop, and it got downloaded into the downloads folder. That is why first I executed the command cd downloads, cd space downloads, to first go to the downloads folder, and then there is a one-time command that you have to execute. The command is chmod 4000 400 space, then the name of the file, whatever file that you created in the AWS cloud when you created the machine, right? This is called a key file, and you need this key every time you want to log into the machine. And this is a one-time command that you have to execute against the downloaded key on your laptop to secure the key within your laptop. This is a one-time command. And once you finish this, if you are using git bash and executing this command, you may get an error. If you are getting an error, ignore the error. Don't worry about the error. If not, no, make sure that this command succeed. Right? And once this command has completed, now it is time to log in. Log in from my laptop to the remote AWS machine, and I'm going to use a command called SSH to do that. SSH space minus I space, then whatever key file that you want to use in order to log into the machine. And then you have to specify the username on the remote machine at the rate IP address of the remote machine. And you can find the IP address from the portal on the AWS. Once you selected the machine over here by checking this box, then down here you can find the public IPv4 address. There is a public IPv4 and there is a private IPv4. Make sure that you use the public IPv4, because you are sitting in a remote place. And in my particular case, the machine is located in Mumbai, and I'm not in Mumbai, I'm sitting in Bangalore. So from Bangalore, I want to connect to a machine which is in Mumbai. You should always use the public IP, not the private IP, right? So that's why make sure that you always use the public IP when you want to connect to the machine from your laptop. So I paste the public IP here, and this is the command that you need to execute inside your laptop, right? And I will explain this command. This is the IP address of the machine in the AWS cloud. That is where I want to log in. And then inside the machine, there is a user called Ubuntu. I want to log into this machine as user Ubuntu. Every time you log into a computer, you should provide a username, right? So that's what Ubuntu is. That is the default username which get created inside AWS every time the machine get created. And then you have to specify the key that you want to use. This is something like a password, right? If you want to log into the machine, you need certain authentications, and this key helps you authenticate yourself, right? And this is the command you have to execute on your laptop. And first time when you log into a machine, it will ask you, are you sure you want to continue connecting? Give yes, and then that's it. You have successfully logged in. You have successfully logged into the remote Linux machine. And then there is a Linux command. You can start executing Linux commands inside the machine. There's a command called who am I. That is a Linux command which will tell you which user you are currently logged in as. Currently, I am logged in as Ubuntu, right? Basically, in Linux, once you log in, always remember there is no UI. right? Once you logged into a Linux machine, you have to keep on executing various commands when you want to get things done, right? You want to create a file, you want to create a folder, you want to install software, you want to do anything that you want to do inside a Linux machine. It has to be done through a Linux command. There is no UI, there is no mouse cursor that you can move and click. There is nothing. It's only a command line. Once you log into a Linux machine, all you get is a command line, and you have to work using this command line. And throughout, no, throughout our sessions, there is no UI. It's just the command line um, on Linux machines, right? So right now you are logged into a Linux machine, and I am logged in as user Ubuntu. And now I want to become the root user. There is another user in every Linux operating system called root, and he is a highly privileged user. He is like the administrator in Windows. And once you're logged in as the Ubuntu user, there is a command that you can execute to become the root user, right? This is how you will switch your username in Linux, right? In Windows, you already know it is a complicated process. If you want to log in as a different user, you want to switch user, it takes a lot of time. Maybe you have to log out from one user and then you have to log in, or you have to use the switch options to switch to a different user, and it's a complicated process. But in Linux, the user management is pretty straightforward and lightweight process. And if you want to log in as a different user, a single command will do. It won't even take 1 second. Just run this command and that's it. Now I am logged in as the root user. This is the command that you can execute. So you don't have to become the root user. You can actually, if you want, you can work as Ubuntu, or if you want to become the root user, you can become the root user. It's optional. But for the first few days, if you are new to Linux, no, if you are not very familiar with Linux, right? If you are new to Linux, then maybe for the first few days, you can work as the root user. And it is for those who are new to Linux. I have sent this command: become the root user and work as the root user, because root user has all the permission. He is like administrator user in Windows. He has all the permission. So you will not face any permission problem while you are working on the Linux command line. And that is the most important thing for now, right? Otherwise, working as root is not a very good idea, actually. But for now, no, until you become comfortable with the Linux command line, we will be using the root login. This is the command after you logged in using the SSH command. And then this is the command you have to execute to become the root user. So now you are inside a remote Ubuntu server that you have created in AWS. So all of you create a machine in AWS and Ubuntu server that will be the same operating system. And I mean, I suggest you to use Ubuntu unless you are very comfortable with some other operating system. But still, I strongly suggest you to use Ubuntu as the operating system, so that all of us will be working on the same operating system. Even though we are using various laptops, the Linux machine, whatever we are working on, is same. Our lab environment will remain same. Whatever command that I do, it will work for you. So use Ubuntu as the operating system at the time of creating the machine in your AWS account. So these are certain things that you need to do. And now we will start with some basic Linux commands. So let us do that. So we are going to talk about some basic Linux commands. So we will start with some file system related commands, right? I mean, so inside a Linux machine, you have only the command line. There is no UI, there is no mouse that you can double click to see which folder you are in, or where you might want to create files, you want to create folders, you want to do various things, right? Various other things you might want to do. So the question here is that how you will do it using the command line. So Unlike Windows, Linux needs you to have a certain understanding about how the file system work and how the folder structure works inside Linux, right? You should have an understanding about all such kind of things. And the most important thing that you need to understand is, the file system is very similar to that of Windows, right? The file system look exactly similar to the Windows file system. It is like a tree, right? Basically, you will have you will have a folder. The folder is slash. There's a folder called slash. This is the first folder in Linux, and every other folders and files are come under slash. So this one slash folder is the first folder in Linux, and if there is any other folders and file, they all come under slash. So for example, if there is a folder called Basil, then you can call it slash Basil. It indicate that Basil is a folder which come under slash. And assume inside Basil there is another folder called, let's say, Vinay. So in that case, then this is how you can call the folder a slash Basil slash Vinay. So what that means is a Vinay folder which is located inside the Basil folder, which is located inside the slash folder. And assume inside the Vinay folder there is a file called test.txt. Then this is how you will refer that file. So every file in Linux, even though it all start from the slash, they all have a unique address that you can specify starting from the slash. So for test.txt file here, the complete path is slash Basil slash Vinay slash test.txt. This is how you will specify the path to any file in Linux, right? Any file or any folder. This is how you specify the path. And always remember, the first slash indicate what is that? It is the first folder in Linux, right? And the other slashes that I put in between, they are just the separators, the delimiters, or whatever you call it. The first slash is the, I'm talking about the first folder of Linux, right? So that is important that you know. And yeah, this is how you specify the path. No, just it starts from the slash and then it flow all the way to the down. So it's like a tree, and with a slash being at the root, right? So that's how it is. And there are various commands that you can use. So as you already understood, it's all about command line in Linux. There's only command line. So how you will find out, which folder you are in, or how you will see the content of a given folder. For example, think about the slash folder, and you want to see the content of the slash folder. What are the files and folders inside slash? You are curious. So you type the command ls. Ls is a Linux command that will help you see the content of a given folder. You want to see the content of folder slash, you can type ls space slash. Or if you want to see the content of a folder with the name home, which come under slash, then you can put ls space, then whatever folder that you want to see. So assume inside the home folder, there is another folder called Ubuntu. If this is the folder content that you want to see, you can use ls command against that folder. So whatever folder that you want to see the content of, use ls command against that folder, ls space, then the folder, right? So right now, I want to see the content of slash, which is as I already told you, the first folder in Linux, right? So these many contents are available inside the slash folder. There is a bin folder, there's a boot folder, dev, etc, home, right? Folders or files, right? There are various content that you can find inside the slash folder. And yes, inside the slash, there is something called home. So I figured that there is a folder called home, which come under slash, or there is a folder called etc, which come under slash. And now I am curious, what is the content inside the home folder, right? Now I am curious. I understood that inside slash, there is one of the folder is named as home. And now I am curious, what is the content inside home? ls is the command that you always use, right? Whenever you want to see the content of a folder, ls is the command, ls space, the folder. So can you send me a chat message, what command would you use to see the content of the folder home, right? Send me a chat message. Great. So always remember the command is ls, right? The command is ls space slash home. So you know that home come under slash. So that's why the complete path can be referred as slash home. So now I can see the content of the slash home folder. Inside the home folder, there is another folder called Ubuntu. Now I am curious. I want to see the content of the folder Ubuntu. Ubuntu come under slash home. So I can call it slash home slash Ubuntu. This is the complete path of the Ubuntu folder. And if you want to see the content of the Ubuntu folder, use ls command, ls space, then the path to the Ubuntu folder. And now I do not see any content, which means the folder is empty. The folder does not have any content and it's empty. That's fine. So that's the point. This is how you can, only by using the ls command, you can browse. It is similar to you double click on your my computer and browse through the folders on your Windows PC, right? You can go to any folder using your mouse, double click on my computer, go to C drive, double click on Windows folder, double click on some other folder. You can keep doing that. You can locate the files using the mouse, right? And when it comes to Linux, ls command is an alternative. ls space slash or ls space slash home or ls space slash home slash Ubuntu, or there is another folder called etc. It can type ls space slash etc. etc is a folder that come under slash. That's why it's slash etc. Then it would show you the content of a slash etc. Then there is another folder called apt. So I type ls space slash etc slash apt. I can see the content of that folder. Then inside the folder, there is another folder called preference.d. I will type ls space slash etc slash apt slash preference.d. Then I found that the folder is empty, right? So only by using the ls command, you can browse throughout all the folders, right? All the folders and file in Linux. Only by using ls command, you can browse. Great. And that is the ls command. So we have discussed about the ls command. Now the next thing we will talk about creating files and folders in Linux, right? So that's what we will do next. How we will create some files and folders. And when you create files and folders, you need to know where you want to create them, right? So that is why I already told you, when you are working on a Linux operating system, you should have a awareness about the underlying systems, right? Or the folder path. In this particular case, you need to know where you want to create the folder or where you want to create the file. You should have a clarity on such kind of things. It's important, right? So that is exactly what I'm going to talk about today. So I'm going to create a file and folder. That's what I want to do. And if you want to create a file or a folder, you can use a command. Touch is the command to create a file, or mkdir is the command to create a folder. So I'm going to create a text file, test.txt. I'm going to create a file and I'm going to create the file inside the slash home slash Ubuntu folder. So touch space slash home slash Ubuntu slash test.txt. So this command, basically what this command does is, a touch command will create a new file, test.txt, at this particular location inside the Ubuntu folder. A new file get created, an empty file. The file will not have any content. Later we can open the file and we can edit the file. You can add some content, right? But for now, this will be an empty file. Once you executed the touch command, the file got created. And if you want to confirm, you can now check the content of the Ubuntu folder using ls command. Using ls command, I'm checking the Ubuntu folder content. Previously, it was empty. Now there is a file called test.txt. Touch command created that file. And you can use mkdir if you want to create a folder. So assume inside the same Ubuntu folder, I want to create another folder called, let's say, folder one, right? So then slash home slash Ubuntu. Inside Ubuntu, I want to create a folder with the name folder1. So mkdir space, then you have to specify whichever folder that you want to create, and that's it. It got created. The folder1 got created. Great. So that part is done. And now I can again type ls space, then the path to the Ubuntu folder. This time I can see a folder. I can also see a file. So you already know the difference between folder and file. Same as Windows, right? Your test.txt that you edit using Notepad, it's a file. The folder is, folder consists of other files. So that's what, a folder is a special type of file which consists of other files. Same thing, same concept as Windows right here. So that's the touch and mkdir command that you can use to create file or to create folders. You can use touch or mkdir command. And now, we will see how you can edit the files. Right? So you can edit the file using some editors. There are various editors available inside Linux. There is VI, Nano, Pico. There are various editors. So that's what I'm going to use. I'm going to use some editors, right, such as Nano. Nano is one of the editor that is very similar to Notepad in Windows, right? So you already have created a file uh, inside /home/ubuntu. I have already created a file called test.txt. It is an empty file right now. Now I am going to add some content inside the file. That's what I want to do. I want to edit the file, add some content in it. And in order to do that, in Windows, you use Notepad. In Linux also, there are editors, command line based editors, and those editors can work like Notepad, right? That's what I'm going to do. There is an editor called Nano that is very similar to Notepad in Windows, right? So Nano space, then you have to specify the complete path to the file. So this is the file that I want to edit using a Nano editor, right? And that's why, so I go ahead and I open this file. And now I'm going to add some content. This is a test file, some content I am adding inside this file, just like previously it was empty, and now I have added some content. And now you want to save the changes. For that, you can use the command control O for saving the changes, or control X if you want to quit, right? So there are various commands available if you want to search for a string. There are various commands available. So in my particular case, I want to save the file. Control O. I'm going to type in Control O. So I just pressed Control O. Then it will ask me, is this the file name that you want to save? So I just press Enter, and that's it. Now the file got saved, right? Now the file got saved, and it's done. And now next, I can type Control X. Control X means come out of the editor, quit, right? So I'm going to type Control X, then the editor will get closed, and now I am back to the Linux command line. And you want to open this file again, you can open this file again as many times as you want. You can run the command nano space, the file name. The file will again open in the same nano editor. You can change the file just like you work on Notepad. You can work on a nano editor, and you can change the file, and then you can save it. You can do whatever that you want to do. Right. So that's how you edit a file inside Linux using Nano. And if you want to see the content of the file, you don't want to edit it, but you simply want to see the content of the file, you can use another command called cat space, then the complete file name that you want to see the content of. So what cat command does is the content of this file will be printed onto your command line. So this is the content of the file that you can see. You cannot edit, you can simply see if that's what you want to do, right? Sometimes you simply want to see the content of the file, you don't want to edit it. You don't need to use nano editor, you can simply use a cat command to print the content of the file and see them, right? So That's how you will add content to the file or view the content of the file. You can to view the content of the file, you can either use cat or nano. But if you want to edit the file, you must use nano, or there are some other editors also. There is Pico, there is VI. VI is a good editor, but nano is very simple and straightforward when you start. Right, great. We'll talk about how you will learn Linux commands. Right? Okay, we'll talk about some other commands also. Copy, uh, relocate, or delete files or folders. Right? That's what we'll see. So sometimes you want to copy paste, right? In Windows, you do copy paste from one location. You copy a file to another location, or from one location you cut paste. That means you relocate. You cut, right click and cut, and then you go to the destination, right click and paste. Then what happens is the file get relocated to the new location. The file won't be there in the old location anymore. That's what cut paste in Windows means. And sometimes you want to delete the file, you select the file, right click and delete, and the file get deleted from the file system. So same operations can be done on Linux also. If you want to delete a file, there's a command you can use called rm, and it various commands. So cp or mv are the commands. Cp command to copy, mv command to relocate. So cp is same as copy paste in Windows, mv is same as a cut paste in Windows. So assume I have this file slash home slash ubuntu slash test.txt. This is the file that I want to copy. Then I want to copy the file to some destination, for example slash mnt. I have a folder called mnt which come under slash. So my intention is that I want to make a copy of this file slash home slash ubuntu slash test.txt that is already there, that already has some content also. This file I want to copy to a different location called slash mnt. You can use cp command. The syntax is cp space, then the source space, the destination, right? Source means which file you want to copy. Destination means what is the destination folder where you want to copy this file, right? So just run this command, and once you executed this command, you can type ls space slash mnt. Then you will notice that the file has come to slash mnt. It's there. It's there in slash mnt. So if you are using mv command, so assume now you are using the mv command. So what mv command does is it will do a cut paste, right? Copy command will do a copy paste, which means this file is still there inside Ubuntu folder. But if you do an mv, so let me do an mv, mv. So I have a folder called slash home slash Ubuntu folder one. So this is what I want to do. I have this file test.txt located in the Ubuntu folder. That file I want to relocate to the folder one, right? So that's what I want to do. So once you executed this command, so it will same as copy paste, but this time it's a relocation. The source file won't be there anymore. It will be moved to the destination. So you type the ls command, you can see the file has come to the destination. But how about the Ubuntu folder? The file is gone from the Ubuntu folder. You can see the ls command against Ubuntu folder. The file is not there anymore. File is gone because mv command will relocate the file to the destination folder. It's like cut paste in Windows. So that's how it is. Now I have this file uh, test.txt at this location. Now you want to delete the file, you can use rm command. There's a command called rm that you can use if you want to delete a file. So now what this command does is it will delete a file from your file system. So after executing this command, the file test.txt is gone. It's deleted from this folder. And now if you run the ls command again, now if you run the ls command again, you don't see test.txt. It's gone. It's deleted. So cp command to copy paste, mv command to cut paste, rm command to delete, right? So all these operations you normally do on Windows, but generally you don't use keyboard a lot. You just use the mouse, right, to do stuff. It can be done using keyboard in Windows as well, but most of the time you don't use keyboard. You have a UI. You just double click and you just right click and create folder. You just double click and the file get opened in Notepad. You edit it and then you press Control X, or you close it and click the save button. It's pretty convenient in Windows, right? You are more used to Windows. That's why once you are used to Linux, once you started running some command in Linux, you should be okay, right, with Linux also. And that should be your next intention. And that's what we are going to talk about next. Those who are new to Linux, how you will become comfortable and convenient with Linux. And that's what we will talk next, right? It's important. Those who are new to Linux and those who don't have so much hands-on, right? You don't need to be a Linux expert, but you should have some hands-on. You should be able to work on the command line fast, right? You should be fast. That's the most important part. So that's the thing that we will try to talk about next. How you will improve your Linux skills. I'm not going to teach you any Linux commands anymore, but I will teach you how to learn Linux. That's what you should understand. How you should, if you don't know something, you want to do something, but you don't know how to do that. How soon you can do it, right? By investigating yourself, right? By searching in Google, by using some documentations, right? By reading some documentation. How fast can you do it? That is the most important part when you learn Linux, right? You don't have to buy hard all the things. You get all the answers from Google or other documentations that are available. But the question is how fast you are to get that information, right? It should not be more than a minute, right? If you want to download a file from the internet to your Linux machine and you have no idea what command it is to use, how much time you will take to find out, right? That matters. So that's the point of learning Linux. It's not about by hearting a lot of Linux commands. I don't need you to by heart lot of Linux commands. You will eventually by heart them when needed. So don't worry about, don't try to by heart anything, but try to learn or try to see how fast you can become. Right? So let's talk about that. Okay, so let's talk about how to learn Linux commands. That's what we will discuss next. How you will learn the Linux commands. So mainly there are two options available to you. One is you can search in Google. Right? You can search in Google what is the command to do this, what is the command to download a file, what is the command to install a software, what is the command to do this, what is the command to do that. Right? You can either search in Google, or if you already know the command and you want to learn a given command, Linux has a documentation page, Linux has a manual page that also you can either get from Google or you can use a man command to do that. So that's what we are going to discuss next. So let's how you will learn Linux commands, right? So assume you want to learn about how to see content of a given folder. Linux, right? You simply search in Google, then it will tell you use ls command to do that, right? Ls is the right command that you have to use to do that. And then probably you can also go through one or two, open one or two links. Then they talk about what is ls command and how ls command works, what is the syntax. You can just go through those documentation, try to understand how exactly the ls command works, right? So you will also see some examples, right? Here you can see some examples on how to run the ls command and stuff like that, right? And that is one option. Otherwise, if you are on Linux, Linux has a default documentation, a manual page. You can search in Google. So you know that ls is the command. Then now you can search something like this: ls manual page. ls manual page. Every Linux command has a documentation. It's called manual. And if you want to see the manual, simply search in Google. One way is you can simply search in Google and then open it from your browser. That is one option. If you do not have a browser, you can do it from the command line also. There's a command called man. Sorry, let me. I got disconnected. Yeah, what I'm trying to say is, yeah, if you want to run the command man space ls, there's a Linux command called man. That command you can use to open the documentation of any Linux command: man space ls, man space touch, man space mkdir, right? Whatever command that you want to see the documentation, type man space the command. So man space ls, it would show you what is ls command, and then description about the ls command. All these things you can see, the syntax and stuff like that, right? And then okay, one thing, let me show you. Look at the syntax. It's slightly different than what we have been looking at, right? There is ls space file. You are aware of this syntax: ls space slash, or ls space slash home, or ls space slash home slash ubuntu, right? So ls space the folder. That's the syntax that you used to run. That is okay, but what are options? So for most of the Linux command, there are options available. So one option is -a. Do not ignore entry starting with dot. What does that mean? So ls command you can execute with or without option. That's up to you. And if you are using option, then the option has some special meaning. Do not ignore entry starting with dot in this particular case. I will demonstrate an example what is meant by -a. And yes, if you are using option, the syntax will be ls space -a space, then whichever folder, right? So take this example. So ls space slash home, you are already aware of this command, what this command will do, right? You already know this command. So inside slash home, there is a folder called Ubuntu, and I'm going to create one more folder inside slash home, and I am going to call it dot basil. It's up to me, right? However I want to name it. I'm going to create a new file also inside slash home called dot myfile.txt. So what I did is I just created a new folder called .basil, and I created a new file called .myfile.txt inside the slash home. It is inside the slash home. I created them, and it's fine. It's okay to have dot in the file name. Don't worry. And now let me try to see the content of the ls command once, and it is still showing me only Ubuntu. It is not showing me .basil, but I know that .basil is created already. And I also know that this file is also created already inside the slash home, but ls slash home don't show them. And this time I'm going to use the ls space slash home command, but with a slight difference. This time I'm going to use an option called -a. So when I use -a option, now the ls command will show me there is a .basil folder, there is a .myfile.txt, and there is Ubuntu. So -a option, ls command by default, it will hide the files if it begin with a dot, and -a option will print them, right? So that is what -a will do. So like that, just like -a, there are many other options available as well, right? So you can just go through various options of the various commands, and do this as an assignment. You or you don't have to use the man command. You can actually simply search in Google, which I think is much convenient, right? Read the manual page from the browser, the same manual page, right? ls option file -a, right? Various options, you can find them here. So these are the two methods you can learn Linux commands. And if you want to learn about ls command, you again search in Google ls Linux command, ls command in Linux, right? ls command in Linux, you are curious, you don't want to go through the manual page, which is, a lot of, it's a bit confusing. It's right. It's a bit technical. So you want some examples, you want some easy commands that you want to try to run. You simply search in Google ls command in Linux and go to some documentation and go through the examples and just try to run them yourself. And maybe, they may be using some kind of ls space desktop, ls space slash, right? Then various commands that they would be using, just try to practice them all by yourself. And also just try to see what are the various options. There is something called ls space minus s. What is minus s, right? Just try to, if you want to learn minus s, you can come to the manual page and you can check where is minus s. Minus s would be here somewhere. Just go there and then just try to search for minus s. It's size. It is to print the size of the file, right? In blocks. So like that, there are various options available. Learn from Google search, learn from man command, combine them together to understand. It's up to you. So these are the various methods available to you. And whether it is the Linux command line or Google search, you should be used to it, right? That's very, very important, and it takes some time. Don't expect a quick, right? I mean, if you are new to Linux, um, it takes a little bit of time until you become familiar with the Linux command line and you become fast. So always remember, it is your speed that you need to improve. Check how fast you are able to do things inside the Linux command line, and that is very, very important. And also how soon you are able to get the solution by searching in Google. And both things need a lot of practice. And there is a 50 Linux command assignment that I need you to complete, and that is already available on the portal. Once I shared you the access, I will do that after today's session. Once you are eligible to get access, you will have access to this portal. There would be a course that you will see called Linux and Networking. You open that course, and then you will see first module, Linux basics and web applications. There's a 50 Linux commands that I mentioned here, which is nothing but a URL that provides some 50 Linux commands. You just keep practicing them, keep practicing them. Just execute each and every command. First command is tar. So you don't know about tar, search in Google to find out what is tar. You don't know what are these options C, V, and F. Use the manual page to find out what is C, what is V, and what is F. Just try to understand this command and understand the syntax. Then try to understand what the command will do. Go to the next command, grep command. Again, just try to read it from here itself. If you don't understand, again search in Google. Try to understand what is grep command and then try to run some grep commands all by yourself. Go through the manual page and things like that, and right, and then check out what is minus I option. Go to the manual page of the grep command, man space grep, or you can search in Google grep manual page, right? So then it would take you to the grep manual page. There you can look for this option, what is minus I, or whatever options. So this way, just learn all the 50 commands, and initially you will be slow. If you are new to Linux, you will be slow. That is okay. That is expected of you. But after 15, 20, or 25 commands you finished, you would be comfortable with both Google search and Linux command line. So make sure that you complete this assignment. It's very, very, very important. This is the only assignment for this week. Make yourself comfortable with Linux command line and become fast, right? Improve your speed on Google search as well as while working on the command line, right? Just keep practicing. Even if you break the machine, it's okay. Just keep practicing, keep running a lot of commands, keep improving your speed. It's important, and that's what you should focus on this whole week, right? Great. Next thing, I'll talk about present working directory. Next, now we'll talk about the present working directory or PWD. So technically, something that I never talked about, whatever files that we have been working on, whether it is test.txt or slash form, we have been referring them using their complete path, right? So that's how you generally do, right? You always, when you want to refer a file, for example, the test.txt or slash form, you started from the slash, ls slash form or ls slash form slash ubuntu. This is how you do things, right? But something that I did not tell you, when you work on a Linux command line, you are also working on a folder, right? So that you can find out, it's called the present working directory. PWD is the command that you can execute to see where you are right now. Right now, I am inside slash root. Remember, slash is not same as slash root. Root is another folder, just like home. Root is another folder that come under slash. So that is where I am right now. I am inside a folder called slash root. And if I want to go to a folder, a different folder of my choice, I can do that. I want to go to slash home. I can type cd space slash home. Now I am inside slash home. So when you work on a Linux command line, you have a PWD and you can change it, right? You can get to know what is your PWD by running this command, or you want to change your PWD, you can run the command cd space, whichever folder that you want to go to. So when you work on a Linux command line, you are also working on a folder and you want to go to a different folder, it's your choice. You can change your present working directory by using a command called cd. So what is the significance of present working directory? So, so once you are on a folder, once you are inside a directory, then you don't need to use the complete path to refer the files and folders. For example, I'm going to simply type the ls command, right? I'm not typing ls space slash home. I'm not typing the path. I'm not telling ls command which content, which folder content I want to see. I just simply type the ls command and see how it is doing. Technically, if I do this, if I type the ls command, not only the ls command, any command in Linux that you execute, it will by default, it will assume your PWD as the folder location. So for ls command, the the actual command that got executed in the background is ls space slash home. But I did not specify slash home. I simply specify ls. But ls command, it identified that the PWD is nothing but slash home. So it would check the content of slash home, whether or not you specify slash home. If you specify something else, it will take that, of course. Let's say I want to say the content of slash home slash Ubuntu, I can explicitly run it. But if I don't specify any folder, it will take my PWD. Let me try to create a file, touch space file name.txt. I create a file called file name.txt using the touch command. I did not mention slash com slash file name.txt, but actually in the background, the command which got executed is slash com slash file name.txt. This is the actual command which got executed in the background, but I don't have to specify slash home because I am already inside the slash home. You got the point, right? So when you are on your PWD, you can forget about the complete path. You can specify the path in reference. But for other files, you can specify the complete path. But any file within your PWD, you can just call them using their name. So it's very convenient actually. CD space slash. Now I am inside the slash folder. I can type ls. I can see the content. I go to the folder form. I type ls. I can see Ubuntu. I go to the folder Ubuntu. I type ls. I can see folder one. I go to the folder one. Type ls. I mean, you got the point. Whenever I want to go to, I go there. Then I work there. So that is more convenient way of working on Linux. I can go to any folder I want and then I can work on that particular folder. I can forget about the complete path. So this is convenient, right? Easy and much, much easier way than using the complete path all the time, right? So that's what present working directory is all about. Great. So that's all I want you to go through, right? So that's pretty good enough about the Linux basics, and do complete the 50 Linux commands assignment, and also do complete these videos. There are 3 videos that I have uploaded in the portal. In the first module of the Linux course in the portal, there are 3 videos that I need you to watch, right? Part 1, part 3 in order. You watch them in the portal. It's not in order, but you make sure that you go through part 1, then part 2, and then part 3. Watch them and also complete this assignment. This is your work for this week. It's important that you complete it. For the rest of the topic, I won't be giving any assignment this week. It's not needed. I think it's not needed. So that's the whole point. Great. So we are done with the Linux basics.